The only reason I came across the couch is because of my free time. I like to check out sketchy websites, anything from forged Play stores to gambling and betting to pirating. Sometimes I like to type random keywords in the search bar followed by .com, net.net, etc. That night I was combing through a good pirating site. One of my go-to favorite ones got shut down. All the new ones I got so far were either defunct, riddled with obnoxious ads and pop-ups, or just took me to a totally different and unrelated URL. It took about an hour of the non-stop clicking and scrolling until I found a good one. On the, no joke, the 50th Google page, I came across a website titled All Your Free Movies Right Here and Right Now.com. Although the website sucked in terms of naming, what the hell, it was kind of a hell of a better place than the other ones I combed through, really. I was just happy to find the one that wasn't in Russian or Arabic or the 500th ad that told me that Brazzers and Jerkmake were free. They had pretty much every film you could think of, not just from major American studios, but from ones from all over the world. A lot of banned and fucked up films were there too. I chuckled a little when I saw a Serbian film, Schoolgirls in Chains, Pink Flamingos, and Cannibal Holocaust on there. Out of curiosity, I clicked on the new category and the page redirected to the most recent films added. I never heard of any of them, but I decided to skim through. Maybe I'd find something I liked. Eventually, on the fourth page, I came across The Couch. It was 55 minutes long and it was released in 2004 from the United States, but had no description or cast and crew list. The cover was of 6 cartoony animals sitting on a couch: a cat, a rat, a goat, a horse, a rooster, and a bull. A speech bubble came from the cat, who was saying "action" in playful, colorful letters above them. It said The Couch. Honestly, it looked innocent enough. Definitely some kind of weird indie kids film, and it was most certainly lost media at this point. I just so happened to be really into stuff like that and wanted to see what this was. When I went down to download it, I began having second thoughts. When pirating, you have to find the sites you trust, and I won't say that I trusted all your free movies right here, right now.com. The couch would have been literally anything. I like to say that I'm desensitized, but there is always stuff out there that will breach each what you thought was your jaded mind. Then again, as I said, this site looked much more better than the dozens of other pirating sites I visited. No annoying ads or pop-ups, no flashing colors, no fake URLs, no bullshit, just movies, nothing more. As stupid as this decision was, I downloaded it. The final video of the video was called The Couch.movie, and it took about 10 minutes to load. So far so good. When it was done, I clicked open and it began to play. The first thing that came up was the title, The Couch, and then the fact of that playful and colorful lettering. Happy music was in the background and sounds of children's laughter accompanied it. After the title came on text that said, a film by Cat, Rowdy Rat, Gloria Goat, Who Horse, Rage Rose, and Big Bull. I laughed a little, calming myself down a bit and sitting back in my chair. What in the hell was that, haha? When the opening credits, you can call them that, ended and it faded to black, there was an establishing shot of what appeared to be the biggest nondescript building in the middle of the city. Immediately I was confused. I thought this was going to be animated. People walked by, cars drove past, I could even hear a police siren in the distance. What was odd was that the people walking by were looking at the person filming with very confused looks. The shot just lingered on this one guy, dull building for a while before one person filming began walking forward onto the street, towards it. I could hear some cars come to a screeching halt, and someone say, "What the fuck are you doing? Get out of the road." Eventually the person filming got to the other side. I heard heavy breathing and grunting as they walked down some stairs. At the bottom there was a door painted in black. Above it were the words "The Couch" and the arrow pointing to the door. The person reached out and knocked it, and that's when my smile had turned completely faded. It wasn't a human arm that reached out and knocked. Rather, it was a large wing, obviously part of a costume. Briefly, the camera panned down, and I saw huge rooster feet. They banged on the door hard. I heard it click, and it slowly inched open. It faded to black again. God damn it. I knew this was something bad. Well, bad isn't the right word yet, just strange. I thought about closing out of it, but the most morbid curiosity in me took over. I like weird shit, but exactly how weird was this going to get? The film came back on. Someone who I assumed was Rage Ruse was up close, setting up the camera in the dark room. They stepped back and I could see them in full. The rooster's costume was yellow, but it had old and worn out, so it was more of a pus color. It was covered in brown and green stains and had a big bulging eyes that were popping out of their sockets. As stated before, had giant feet. They cocked their heads and then started clapping and jumping up and down, clearly edited in rooster noises played. Rage Ruse turned around and ran off into the darkness. An overhead light turned on, revealing a gross and decrepit room littered with trash and caked in mold. 6 figures sat on the old torn couch in the middle. First was Cat, someone in the gray and white cat costume. They were fat, with a bulging gut and sinking into their own chin. The second was Rowdy Rat, actually sitting behind everyone else on top of the couch. That was because it wasn't a person in the costume. It was a brown puppet. There was clearly an arm puppeteering it from behind the couch. It looked like if you took Rizzo from the Muppets and made him addicted to meth. The third was Gloria Goat. They had someone in a black goat costume with an oddly placed pink bow tie on the mask and wearing off a pink off-dress that did not go past their waist. It was also most certainly not a female playing Gloria. Fourth, Horse was this tall and gangly person in a horse mask with hooves and hands and feet. We all know about Rage Ruse. Lastly, Big Bull was this huge muscular person in a bull mask and wearing nothing but a Speedo. I get chills when I saw them. They looked extremely creepy. I didn't like their vibes. Cat began walking towards the camera, which was indeed moving. There weren't any even subtitles, so I didn't even know what they were saying. But the other 5 cackled hysterically and clapped in response. The scene shifted to a steel door embedded into the wall. It burst open, and another character in a bear costume began dragging in someone else. At first I couldn't tell who it was, or what that they were, until I realized that it was a little girl dressed up as like a dog. The bear slammed the door shut, leaving her alone with the other 6. Immediately she began to cry and bang on the door, desperate to escape. Cat screamed out at her, but she didn't budge. The little dog girl slammed and pounded at the door. When Cat arose from the couch, she screamed hysterically and slunk downwards. Cat grabbed her. The little dog girl tried to fight them off, but Cat was too strong. She was thrown into a spot where Cat was sitting. Then she cried and wailed in terror as Cat sat directly on her. I told you Cat was fat, but I mean really fat. I heard a crunch or two, and the little dog girl wheezing until she failed to make any more noise. Rowdy Rat, Gloria Goat, Rage Ruse, Horse, and Big Bull were all laughing in demented evil laughs. I paused the film. What the fuck just happened? I couldn't even process it. No, it wasn't even the gore in the traditional sense, I suppose. That's why it was so bewildering. I don't know. Don't ask me why I continued watching. Any normal person would have just stopped, but I don't have the horror of calling myself normal. I felt like I have to keep watching for the same reason. Cat screamed me out, and the steel door flung open again. This time it was a man wearing a walrus costume. He flopped onto the room, like someone doing the worm. Immediately, the big, blubbery walrus man began to flounder about while making walrus noises, clapping his makeshift flippers while he was doing his routine. The little dog girl had been cried out from under the cat who had popped off the couch and then slammed back down onto it. I heard a few more cracks. Once the walrus man saw that, he stopped and stared at Cat. I heard him breathing heavily, which it then turned to a primal, livid fury as the walrus man got up off the floor and began charging towards the 6, about 5 feet away from them. He slammed into something and fell backwards. It appeared though he slammed into an indestructible glass. I don't blame him for not seeing it. His eyes were extremely red and crusty, and I imagined that it was at least partially blind. I just truly hope that wasn't his daughter. As Cat's command, the door swung open again. The bear dragged the walrus man out, who had just some sort of brain damage, and his face was like a crushed watermelon. One of his tusks fell off. A few minutes later, the bear came back in with a crying, dirty woman dressed like a cat. Immediately, Cat rose to its feet and began rushing towards the glass, licking and rubbing it. The other five got up from the couch. Rage Ruse grabbing the camera. The little dog girl was blue and dead, but the bear was about to leave it until it was commanded to stay. Cat made a gesture towards the bear, who grabbed hold of the woman and opened the door to the right. A few moments later, they emerged into another room. Cat ripped the woman from the bear, and I don't even know what they were doing to her. She was on the floor, Cat covering her entirely. It looked like Cat was licking her face very disgustingly. A few times they popped up. I could see the woman drenched in mucus slubber. Absolutely drenched. She was screaming and crying until Cat forced her up. They cupped her mouth with their hand and began dragging her back the way her and the bear came. The last thing I saw of the couch was an awful series of images. First was the Catwoman in dirty, tattered wedding dress. She looked terrified, her eyes wide. Cat was just beside her in a black suit, tie, and top hat. A caption under them read, "Just married." The second, the Catwoman was on a filthy mattress. Cat was on top of her, licking her again and covering her in a gross, vicious sobber. I saw Rage Rue's big feet in the corner, and Rowdy Rat looking like he was laughing manically with the caption read, "Honeymoon." The third and the last and worst was some dirty, bug-ridden mattress. The Catwoman lay limp. She looked extremely pale, and her eyes were glazed over. I then looked down towards her legs and saw 5 twisted, contorted human cat babies. Looking closer, I saw they were just little stuffed animals and child's dolls sewn together. I was so glad they weren't real somehow. Okay, bear with me on this part. Squinting a little, I saw the human cat stuffed animal doll had strings wrapped around them, and they were all led inside their mother. Each string was covered in blood and snoo. I thought about it for a moment. Once the realization dawned on me, I wanted to puke. Please, for the love of God, tell me that they didn't shove those human cat stuffed animals down inside her, then rip them back out so she could give birth. The caption said children. Immediately, I got up and rushed to my bathroom and puked in the toilet. What the fuck? I truly didn't want to go back to the film. Slowly, I inched out of my bathroom, hoping it was done. Thankfully, it was just a black screen. Immediately, I rushed over to remove the video off of my computer. I haven't touched it since. Fuck that shit. I know it's weird as hell snuff shock film, but what am I supposed to gain from it? What does that even mean? What's the plot? Was the auditions to be part of the couch? Did the woman become a part of the animal's little gang of freaks? I don't fucking know. I really wanted to believe it wasn't real, and that woman, who I assume was her husband and daughter, were okay. You never know for sure, though, and that's the worst part. I was pretty deep in Google search results trying to find pirate. Seriously, you never know what you're truly downloading. For all I know, any of these movies on your free movies right here, right now.com weren't actually those movies, just disgusting con films and parodies made it to look like the real thing. What does this stuff like that have in common? They're always made by the most deprived and degenerate of us.
What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties. And as always, stay pretty.